Go live. Live streams. Come on, internet. Go live. There we go. Grab that link. Copy. Paste. All right, and that's on our Facebook now. I just did. Who just said hello? Someone said hello, hello?
I think Justin said hello.
Oh, it's Justin,
my
okay.
guess.
All right.
I said hello.
Guessing you can see my screen now.
You bet.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Shauna. All right. We are at 2 after, which I suppose is our safety. So why don't we get the show on the road a little bit and then the folks join. I've got the agenda up that they can, here's the overview. Sure, I got my camera up. Okay, hi, welcome everybody to the May PTO meeting. What in a normal year would be the ultimate, but this year it's the penultimate. So welcome and introductions. I'm Vipal. Let's just do a quick round. I'm going to throw to Doug because he's got the flashing lights and I can't help but focus on him.
Why are you focusing on me now? Oh, hi. I'm Doug. I've got a first grader, Dominic, and I'll pass it off to Robin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Robin Anderson. I have a first grader, Adam, and a third grader, Ellery. Mandy, you're up.
Hey, everyone. I'm Mandy. I have a second grader, Edie, and a fourth grader, Sven.
Yo! How about Diego's drinking. How about Michelle next?
Hi, I'm Michelle. I have a first grader, Mira, and let's see, Shauna, would you like to go?
Maybe if I can manage this all on my phone. I'm Shauna. I have a first grader, Magden, and I can't see everybody on my phone, so someone else who can is going to have to pick the next person.
To make Justin go next.
I'm Justin. I'm the PTO treasurer, outgoing. I have a first grader. I have a third grader in Mrs. Nelson's. And I will throw to Tom.
I know Tom said he was painting, so we'll see if he can.
I'm here. Sorry, jumping off the ladder. I'm Tom. I've got a kindergartner in Miss Simpson's class, and I don't know who's left.
Peter.
Thank you.
Sure. My name is Peter. I have two third graders, Opal and Niesel. One is in Miss Kennard's class, and the other is in Miss Nelson's class.
Great, I believe. And then did Sue leave?
Yeah, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, she's in the middle of driving, and she said the storm was getting too bad, so she's going to try and get home and log in if she can.
All good, all good. And then I think there are a couple other people who had registered. We'll see if they're able to jump on. Just as something, and I know this has been a topic of discussion that school has gone later, and but we've kept our 5:30 time, and maybe perhaps we would consider in June pushing it up. And there has been just offline chatter about how it is challenging for folks at this time, and how when we used to do in person, we used to provide childcare and a meal, and that kind of helped with families attending. They could focus, caregivers could focus on the meeting, knowing their kids are playing and being watched over, and we're about to get fed. So we can certainly consider that for June. But anyway, welcome to our May meeting. We've got board reports. Why don't we punch through those? And let me just click next here. Justin, would you like to go first?
Sure, I can go first.
I'll punch up the spreadsheet while you talk.
Great, thank you. Not sure how detailed we want to get here. The first page there, the summary. Those red numbers indicate the 2 previous school years. And those numbers, I didn't have time to change to reflect the lodge funds, the accumulated lodge funds. And for folks who aren't well steeped in this issue, every year we get money from local Masonic Lodge that's specifically earmarked for field trips, potentially other student experiences, but that money is essentially held by the Bancroft PTO. We don't actually decide how that money gets used. We're sort of the fiduciary holding organization for that money. And because we haven't had field trips because of the pandemic over the course of the last couple of school years, we've had that money accumulating. Normally that gets all spent by Sue Francis over the course of the year, particularly in the springtime. But that had accumulated over the last couple of years because, of course, kiddos couldn't go out to do any field trips. So as a result, we kind of had a skewed idea of what money was available for PTO to use. So I worked best I could to try to sort that out with Sue Francis and find out what money was earmarked for those field trips still, and what money belonged to PTO proper. And we finally had that meeting that we've been trying to get to all last year, and had that meeting. I went to the bank. We do have now a separate checking account for field trip funds. So incoming treasurer will have now 2 accounts they'll be working off of. One is the main PTO account, and then the second one is the field trip funds that would be used at primarily Sue Francis's discretion. So that was a big thing to come up. As far as the year, like I said before, the pandemic sort of threw us off financially. The past couple of years, we've actually been running in the red because we haven't been able to do our fundraisers. Of course, we've only had, I think, for the most part last year, I think all we did was readathon, and that was about all we could get in with distance learning. So we didn't really have the income, the revenue stream that we normally have. And I'm really happy to say that this year we turned that around again. So our numbers are back up. Overall for the year, we ended up being about $2,000 ahead, and that's in contrast with being about $12,000 in the red last year. So $2,000 this year in the black, which means we're on the right track. And that's really just kudos to all of you all who've participated in the readathon, your kiddos participating in the readathon and helping out in the plant sale. It's really appreciated. That money goes to great things that we do. And so we appreciate people getting involved and being generous in their contributions and their time this year. So that really, I think, says it about all for me. It's really just numbers. Yeah, so the main takeaway was almost $3,000 for the year. We spent took in about 18,000, spent about 15,000. So about 3,000 is the difference when you look at that green number there. And that was for the year. So great job, everybody. Questions?
Great, thank you, Justin. I appreciate that. I think I'll note for here, but we'll get to this if Kimberly will be on, or Justin, if you're giving the spring plant sale report. But let's note that our net is from the plant sale is $4,100, and that's a great thing to see. And I know speaking with Kimberly at the sale over the weekend, it's a little under what normal years might be, but given the challenges that we've had the last couple of years, this is kind of great to see the engagement and and the involvement. And then just sort of going through, we still have some things that are probably going to be on the books here in the next month or so. So this tally sheet will change in the one more month of activity that we've got. Does anyone else have any questions for Justin at this time regarding the budget report? Okay, thank you very much. Robin, you're up. I know you've got a couple of things to talk about.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, first on my list is an update to share from a request that we filled from Ms. Hartman. There was a request to purchase books for kindergarten and first grade classroom, and it's called the Itty Bitty Teeny Tiny Tumblers Go to School. And so that was a tool that she'd been using with several classrooms, and this allowed each classroom then to have their own copy of that book, as well as a packet of digital download information. So that was approved via email between last meeting and this meeting. And I believe that's already been purchased and ordered and maybe already at the school. So that's great. Thanks for that request. The other update I have is from last week from Teacher Appreciation Week. We were able to provide lunch on Wednesday for the staff. And then as well as we put a note in all the mailboxes with a little chocolate on Friday that just said, you know, teaching is a work of heart and how much we appreciate the staff. So that was nice to pull that off last week. And I think that's all I have. Is there something else I should have addressed?
Could you, just for the sake of the record, go into what was spent in the budget regarding the teacher appreciation?
Yeah, great question. I will look to Justin because he was so kind as to go ahead and pick up the order because he has the power of the budget.
Yeah.
And
I do have the power
purchasing
of the purse. Yeah. We initially tried to go with World Cafe, I believe.
World Street Kitchen. Yeah.
Thank you, World Street Kitchen. But they were a little bit slow getting back to me, and we were a little bit under a time crunch, being as how we didn't even really approve of spending for lunch until Monday, I believe it was. So it was a little tough to get turnaround. We ended up going with Manny's Tortas, and we spent $850, which is a little bit more, I think, than we've spent in the past for meals. But again, didn't really have much time to shop around. And I think going forward, we can also consider other things too. We just kind of landed on lunch, I guess, this time, but we've also done things in the past like donuts and coffee. And I think that's what they did last year in the spring for teacher appreciation. They went to Sift, gluten-free bakery, and got coffee from Sister Sledge, I think. And so that was a little bit more reasonably priced, I guess. But yeah, I think it was well received. I think everybody was happy to get lunch, and we definitely appreciate our teachers. So I think it was well worth that cost. And again, I think that was, I don't have the itemized number in front of me here, but I think it was like $840 for 65 meals.
No, yep, no, that's great. I'll admit that one snuck up on me. I think usually we take care of this during the April meeting, and it sort of got past me. So thank you everyone for catching that and for acting on it. And I'm showing off here the thank you card design and the decorations Michelle and Robin sort of put together. So thank you for that effort that was presented to the teachers. So that's great. Any questions for Robin regarding those items? Great. And then here's, of course, is the itty bitty teeny tiny tumblers go to school, just so that there's a visual. All right. Spring bingo wrap up. I'm going to say it was a success. I think we certainly could model that as something to return to do again. Diego, again, thank you very much for emceeing and for taking in the ribbing I was giving you. We needed a Laurel and Hardy, and unfortunately you got to be Laurel and I got to be Hardy, or the other way around. I always forget who was who. But thank you for that. I did want to just report out, we gave out 13 gift cards, 13 $10 gift cards, 11 plushie bulldogs, 3 toques with winter hats, and 1 t-shirt. So that's the number of prizes that went out. There was a lot of activity. We still have 17 gift cards left over. So I'm just noting that those are held. Melissa bought 3 packets of 10. That's the way the gift card sort of came. We had originally budgeted $250 for 25 $10 gift cards. Actually, it was supposed to be 10 $25 gift cards, but we really wanted to be generous with our giving and just sort of reduce the amount so that we'd have more to hand out. So we could hang on to the 17 gift cards for prizes upcoming or for next year. And apart from that, I mean, I think it really did serve as a model of something that could be done that didn't have to get tied to, we could do 2 bingos in a year, certainly. It didn't have to be tied to the turkey part of it. I'll be honest, I thought people came to turkey bingo because of the turkeys. And lo and behold, we were expecting 150 and we got 256 to show up that spring day. So that was great. Any questions about that? And then just an updated receipt from the porta potty. I already forwarded this on to Justin, but we actually were on the hook for another $80-something because our porta potty rental needed to cover 28 days and we only held it for just under that. So we were sort of on hook for a little prorated amount. And that's, Justin, thank you for taking care of that receipt, but that's reflected in the budget. And then lastly, again, just I didn't put it here in the agenda, but the teachers and staff did send PTO a nice made a card as a thank you for our activities over strike. So thank you to all those who helped out, who participated, who gave support during that particular time. Any questions for me regarding that? All right, thank you. And spring plant sale chair. I don't think Kimberly's on, but Justin, you're going to give that?
No, I don't. Kimberly's not available, so I can give a quick update there.
Yep.
I believe that the spring plant sale was a huge success, and that is by and large due to the great turnout on the part of our parent volunteers. So thank you all so very much for doing that. It's a big project. It requires a lot of manpower, and people turned out in droves. So we had more than enough volunteers for, I think, just about every aspect of those couple of days. There was one slight hiccup, I think, towards the end. A few orders didn't get pulled from circulation after people picked up their plants, and so we had thought that there were less plants available than there actually were. And once we figured out when that error had occurred, we sorted that. I think for the most part, there were maybe a few people that didn't get exactly what they had ordered, but everybody was more than gracious to accept either a refund or a substitute, and people were just great overall. So it was really an awesome turnout, especially after not doing this plant sale for a couple of years. It was really, really well handled by everybody. It was just, I think, really smooth as compared to other times that I've done it. So thank you all for doing that. It wouldn't have happened that way without you. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Justin. I know there was, first of all, I'm showcasing some photos that Kimberly took over the weekend. So just to give people a visual there as well. Diego, I did just want to, as a matter for the record, how did it run from your standpoint? I know that there was a little bit of a pivot in terms of normal process. And I think, oh, thank you, Ludo. So I'm just curious if it worked well and we could use this as a model moving forward.
Yeah, I would say it was very smooth, even from the school side of things. It just disrupted our single dismissal at the end of the day on Friday. So that was a little bit challenging, and the kids were really flexible and able to get united with their parents or caregivers at the end of the day. So that was fine. But putting the tables in the hallways for that Thursday evening was great. I mean, the unloading of the truck went really quick. And I had some fifth graders help me starting at 3:30 to move all the tables into the cafeteria. And that was pretty easy. It took about 30 minutes to get everything set up in there. So other than that, yeah, it was pretty easy from our end as well. You're on mute, Paul.
Thank you. Yep, I was a little quick on the button there. I would say I appreciate that info and Justin for the info. This was my first spring plant sale because I missed it because of COVID. The last time that would have been my first, so it was nice to sort of see it. I understand that there was a little pivot in terms of process, but if we can use this as a model, that's great. And I think to sort of just hammer on what Justin opened with. When some of the paperwork didn't get followed through, that's what sort of led to this a little bit of a panic for 20 minutes, thinking that we had missed 100 or so plants, and it turned out it was just a misfiled paperwork. So process. That'll certainly help keep something as big as this to go smoothly. Thank you. Any questions from anybody regarding the event? And has anyone gotten their stuff in the ground yet? I'm not sure if I was supposed to or not. So it's still sitting on my deck. All right, moving on.
I just want to say thank you to all the volunteers and to Kimberly for, being in charge of it. And I know she's said how busy of a time this is for her at work, and but I appreciate that help. And just, we had so many volunteers. It was just fantastic to see people out and helping. And it was kind of fun to be there on a Saturday morning and see people and kids coming in, shocked to see me there on a Saturday. So just thank you to everybody for making it work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for noting that, Diego. I was moving on too quickly. And I was also shocked. I think you were in a t-shirt is what I saw. There was not a collar to be seen. Okay. Okay, so I'm moving on to something just a smidge light right now, a family fun fest. I know we've talked about this at a couple meetings, Diego. I understand, certainly the sentiment of balancing out how the year ends and being cognizant of the extra time. So I was hoping that if anyone on the call today is interested in being part of a planning group to partner with staff in the next few weeks here, but B, the when. Can we settle on whether we're shooting for that original final Friday or putting it into the extra time? And I think that's something that we've sort of want around on, but never really landed on. Does anyone have an opinion on that matter? Diego's, I'm really looking at you when I ask you that. But you're chewing. Does anybody else have an opinion who's not chewing? Should we, and truly the question is, for families, one of the ideas for holding it on the original end day was to sort of accommodate families that might be leaving, who aren't sticking around for extra time. But the other flip of the coin is that we don't want to front load that week when we've got 2 more weeks of school, and we really don't want people checking out thinking that all the final activities have already come and gone, and then they still have to attend 10 more days. So having said that, who would like to kick in?
Can you tell a little bit about the timing of when this occurs typically? Like, does this mean like the last day of school that evening? I guess I don't know what's typical.
Yep, it's like a post dismissal into 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. So, but it is after. It's pretty much just after school as well as we can get prepped. Diego, look like you unmuted.
Yeah, so I mean, just to give some context too, we've done one. And the reason we did it was because our school was drastically changing at the end of last year. And so we had, we were a magnet school and we had 600 kids. And then we were transitioning to a community school and we were losing about 185 of our students, 200 of our students. And so we wanted to have, a celebration of our time together. And so we landed on this farewell family fun fest, is I think actually what it was called. And we had a band and food trucks, and we wanted to celebrate the chance that we all had to be together, knowing that 200 of our kids were not coming back to Bancroft this school year. So in essence, we've had one. It happened after school. I think it was maybe the Wednesday or Thursday before the last day of school, I believe. And Vipal's right. I want to make sure that we provide closure for this year for kids, but also cognizant of the fact that we have 9 more days after what was the last day of school. We're also coordinating, and this is going to be part of my principal updates, but I can take my 30 seconds now. But we have, our 5th graders, we've historically done a promotion for our 5th graders. In the last couple of years, they've been online. And so my goal this year is to do an in-person promotion. And we were talking about today doing it on that, what would have been the last day of school on the 10th. To make sure, because I know there's some families that have already reached out saying that we're already on this family vacation, or we have this camp that we've already signed up for. And I do want to provide, like I said, closure for all of our students, and particularly our 5th graders, who some of them may have been here since high five or kindergarten. We also want to put field day in there. So, I would say, yep, I think maybe we could pull it off on the 10th. But that would be really, I think it would be challenging for staff, especially if we're trying to pull off promotion that morning and then trying to do the Family Fun Fest that evening. I think that would be just a breakdown in capacity perhaps. And so, but I want to be, again, provide closure for everyone. And so not to necessarily extend it if families aren't going to be there. And I'm not promoting them not to be there, but I know life circumstances happen and people have already pre-planned things.
Thank you, Diego, for that context.
So it's a long-winded way of saying, I don't know if Friday the 10th would be the best day. And Sue, I see Sue just logged on, so I think she would have an opinion on that. So maybe even, yeah, I don't know. It could be just, let's get it all done in the same day and we're moving on, or we do it earlier in the week.
And it certainly is an option to put it into the 2 extra weeks. I don't think I've necessarily heard an argument against, and I think I think that's certainly possible. I know families will be leaving, but that's just the way sometimes things sort of roll is. So does anyone else have any comments regarding that, or would like to speak in favor of trying to keep it on the original and accommodating the other 2, or moving it to the following 2 weeks?
I guess I'd be for moving it into the extra 2 weeks. It might just be another incentive for families to stay tuned into school. That's kind of how I see it. Because I feel like if everything is happening on the 10th, there's not a lot to look forward to. But if there are some events that provide closure and moving on for the 5th graders, like, I don't know, it seems important to definitely have closure for the 5th graders. And then just keep folks engaged. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you for and I know you'd been on, you'd missed a welcome, but hello, Molly. And just for the sake of the group, would you just say the grade that you've got student in?
Yeah, so I have a 5th grader and a 2nd grader.
Great, thank you. Any other discussion or on this?
Just like a little bit of clarification. So Diego, you said that definitely the 5th grade promo is happening, and then I didn't catch whether field day was too.
Yep, field day is happening. Again, we're trying to work out all of the calendar pieces. And again, making sure we honor the families who are still here, honor the families who are leaving, again, provide closure for everybody. We felt that we just actually met today to talk about field day. It's going to be at Powderhorn. For those of you that remember a couple of years ago, we've had it at Powderhorn Park. It just provides us a really giant space. We have lunch out there. It's just a really fun place to be for our kids. And so we're planning on having it again at Powderhorn Park. And we're looking at the Thursday or Friday of that first additional week. So I think it's the 16th or the 17th is what we have been thinking about for field day. So then again, it gives us something, like Molly said, to look forward to. It fills a day of time also where kids can have fun and be engaged and have something to look forward to. So that's kind of why we want to have some of these front-loaded things to honor kids who are leaving, and then make sure we have some things that I'm anticipating most of our students will still be in class those 9 days, and so giving them something to look forward to.
Okay, so 5th grade promotion on the 10th then roughly, and then the following week you'd have the field day.
Correct.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
So at this point, then it looks like we could certainly put Fun Fest in that original last week, or we could put it in the same week as field day earlier in the week. So earlier in the week, either time. or we put it in the current last week, which is the week of the 20th. I have a question for staff. Just based off of discussions with families, do you have a sense of how large of an exodus we might be having or might be experiencing in that final 2 weeks?
I would say currently it's not large, a large exodus. I've had, I think I said like 5 to 7 families have already reached out saying they won't be there. That doesn't mean plans will change from now until then, but I've had between 5 and 7 that I can think of off the top of my head right now.
That's fine. Thank you for that. So PTO or for the folks on this call, I'm going to put it forward. How do we feel about putting Family Fun Fest on that final, the new final week, which is the week of the 20th?
I can't figure out how to raise my thumb on my phone.
Yeah, you're all.
So-
Oh, that's a thumbs up. Okay, no, that totally works. Yeah, if you've got access to chat, we typically do vote over chat so that we can log. Does anyone have any other comments regarding the date about this, or should we just go into the vote then?
I just say I like it on that last week because I think it's going to be just kind of too much with field day in the same week.
Yeah, okay, so the new current week. Okay, so let me do this. Into chat, 1 for yes, 2 for no. The question is to put Family Fun Fest the week of the 20th of June. And I did look at bylaws. Sue and Diego, you are able to vote. It looks like the motion carries. So great, thank you. We've got a date. Anyone on this call would like to raise their hand and be on the planning group for this from a PTO standpoint, and we'll partner with Diego and Sue and staff, whoever there would like to be involved. Don't all raise your hand at once. It's hard for me to see that over Zoom.
I can help a little bit, but I can't like lead it.
No, totally cool, Molly. I'm going to take it. I'm taking it. So Molly is on to help. Thank you, Molly.
Yeah, I can help too. I prefer to be told what to do, like go find a food truck or something, as opposed to like having to come up with ideas.
No, this is great. This is great. And just so you know, event planning is the gateway to PTO leadership.
Oh, don't I know it? And no, Corey just said maybe we'll start volunteering next year. I mean, event planning is a thing that I do a lot. And certainly volunteering with the PTO is most certainly in our future. It just feels daunting. It's already May. This feels like the sort of thing I'd be planning for like 6 months. So.
Give us a week and a half and it'll be great.
Yeah.
Give us 3 days and we'll have to get it done. So that's how we sometimes operate. But no, it was, I mean, I thought it was a fantastic event. And I know there's a number of families that were here on this call that were there, and we had a band who was a student's family member, or their dad was, had a band. And so they came and played. We had food trucks, we had popcorn. The guy who did popcorn, Drew's popcorn, they did popcorn there. We had face painting, we had yard games, we had a book giveaway. I mean, there was just a lot. We had the playground, we had ice cream inside the building that you could come get. So there was just a lot of fun and just a way to celebrate, like I said, our time together as a school community.
Sue, I don't know if you see in chat, is there a yearbook? And I think this is impacting whether Michelle jumps on this bandwagon or it stays on that one.
That's a really good question, and I will find out tomorrow and relay the information back. Usually Miss Todd or Miss Kathy, our social worker, organizes that yearbook, and I guess I haven't talked to her about it.
Yeah, I think this year she's working on it, and there will be a more.
Oh, she is. Okay.
Last year we had the memory book that PTO helped put together because we had the interrupted year of some kids in distance learning, some kids back in person. And this year we'll have the more of the traditional yearbook with the school photos and class photos and all those pieces.
That is more where my skill set lies. If Kathy needs help. However, if no help is required with the yearbook, I can help out with some piece of Family Fun Fest.
Great. I've got you on. All right. And Peter, I see your note. So that's great. Oh, and thank you, Robin, for taking notes. Absolutely. All right. Let's leave this where it is for now. We'll revisit this over email with the group and we'll report back. We've got a June meeting. And so just given that we've got zero details, I'm not going to ask for a budget for Family Fun Fest. We're going to reflect on the budget that we used last year, and then we're going to use the June 13 meeting to pass a budget if it varies. I don't think I'm going to ask for a vote on that, but does anyone have any comments on that particular piece of protocol? I don't imagine we're going to be spending a lot. But I do want to say we're not ready to pass a budget now. Go ahead, Molly.
Have you ever had like neighborhood business sponsors contribute for things like that?
We could, I think that's something that we're going to explore as a group. I certainly would like to. We've got this thing here called community partners. Last year, we didn't do it last year. We didn't have the time really. And there's a lot going on, but we did have, for example, low hanging fruit. My kid goes to National Karate. So I asked the owner of that business, would you do a demo? Right. And so there was a little performance, karate performance. I think it'd be interesting, and we'll speak with a group, if there are businesses or groups in our neighborhood who would like to participate somehow, whether it's through sponsorship or to give a little demo, or maybe they know a band. So I think reaching out to the community would certainly be a bigger effort this year than it was last year. Thank you for that.
Yeah, like free dilly bars. Who knows?
Yeah. Although I think that particular business understands the market control or market share that they own. Anyway, but yes, for sure. Any other comments or particularly regarding the budget bit?
What was the budget last year? Like, I'm assuming that the food truck is, available for purchase, not like we're paying them to give out food.
Right. That was a Diego detail that we were going to follow up on you with, Diego, because I know you had that contact. But as I understood it, PTO didn't pay an upfront fee. I don't think.
Yeah, no, that one was for purchase.
Yeah. And so our budget last year was the band and some other kind of items. But okay, great. Thank you for that. I'm going to close that topic out. Oh, okay. And Diego, this will also probably eat into a little bit of your principals update, which is why the principals update is the next item anyway. But site council, Diego held site council last month to talk about the budget tie-outs that were due on the 29th, and there was a new budget that he presented to the district. And certainly one of the things that they noted, as I've got here, no differentiation specialist. That's one of the bigger changes. It's even made it to the news, frankly, from a district-wide space, and that we are losing our differentiation specialist, but that person will stay on as a classroom teacher, as I've noted down here, because of just filling in a vacancy. So the timing of that sort of worked out in terms of keeping people in the school. That there are some contract details that still need to be clarified in terms of how that impacts the budget. This is pretty much going off of what your slide deck was, Diego. The reduced 0.5 license position that we're still only funded for 14.2 teachers. None of our AE positions were lost. I think there is some follow-up though, and I was hoping to I'm not sure if everyone in this call today made it to site council, so this is a good opportunity to ask if you have questions about the budget that was presented. But one of the questions I did want to sort of get clarification on was the 0.5 license position. That's clearly in addition to the 14.2. So, but it's just not one of the classroom teacher positions. I mean, I understand there's different buckets here, but that's part of the reduction that we sort of faced. Is that correct, Diego?
Yes, because we had a monetary reduction, and so we, like you said, I mean it's I don't want to get into the weeds on budget pieces, but so we get funded for 14.2 teachers. We have 15 classrooms. So within my general fund of money, I can use, and we'll just use $100,000 as a 1.0. And so then I would use $80,000 of my general fund money to buy up to get the 15 full teachers. And then whatever I have left over, goes to associate educators, to intervention positions, secretaries, all these other pieces that get filled in at a school. And this position was an additional intervention position. And in fact, it was, as you know, I don't like talking about people and positions, but it was the other half of Ms. Hartman's position. And because her other 0.5 was cut, then there's no reason to keep her just 0.5. And she was able, like I said, to be put into a classroom position. So then that way, the reduced differentiation specialist and the reduced 0.5, I was able to eat up $100,000 of what was cut, because I think in total it was about $170,000 that I had to make adjustments with after the budget was reopened.
It's 100 in addition to the March adjustments, essentially.
Yes.
Yep. So the reason I'm going down this line of questioning is if PTO were to continue to advocate for something, it still is it would still be correct to try to advocate for that 0.8 funding back. If we're not going to be able to get the differentiation specialist back, because that's a district-wide cut, the idea that we would advocate to our representatives and so on and so forth, that's one of the goals that's still a viable might be too strong a word. That's a valid goal for PTO to sort of work toward. Is that a fair statement?
Is that a question for me?
But you know what? I'm gonna help you out here. It's a question for everybody. Am I
Okay.
making a correct assessment understanding? I certainly don't want to be the expert in the room when there are so many people much smarter than I. So from a PTO standpoint, where I'm going with it is this: PTO, our goal in March was find and advocate for increased funding to get us that 0.8 back, and find and advocate for increased funding to get cost of living so that we didn't lose any AEs. As it turns out, because of some magic math and magic math mountains, we're not losing any AEs. We're still down 0.8. And a particular vacancy or retirement is just helping out that other 0.5. So I think it is, I would like to make the recommendation to PTO that we still sort of work toward that 0.8 and just try to get our voices a little heard more and be a little rabble rousing about it, and see where that leads us. Does anyone have any comments or questions regarding that?
That was more eloquent. What I was going to ask is, who can we yell at?
Well, it's interesting. You know, as was our effort. I don't know if Diego or Sue saw. We were trying to get the attention of Rochelle Cox, assistant superintendent, because Bancroft fell under her purview. Now Rochelle Cox is going to be the incoming interim, right? So I think certainly that as much as that means her portfolio has grown and her priority list has absolutely ballooned, I think she would still be a valid person to contact. And certainly whoever fills in. I mean, I imagine they're going to have an interim assistant superintendent for Bancroft. I don't know. That's not made it to the news. So that certainly would be someone to sort of connect with. And that's something that I think we could certainly tackle. We can tackle the who offline in emails when we do a little more research. But I did want to get intention, sort of strategic intention, consulted with this group, the folks on this call. How do you feel about that particular effort with regards to our Bancroft budget vis-a-vis the district, that we still advocate for a 0.8 increase, which is just carried over from the March tie-out. Any other questions, comments? I see a thumbs up from Shauna. Thank you. I see a thumbs up from Mandy and from Robin. Thank you. As far as the alternative would be to sort of drop this as an effort. If we don't really have an end goal in mind, there's nowhere to travel to. So I'm pretty much putting out a mile marker for us to work toward.
Diego just unmuted, so I don't know if you had.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I just want to share that this isn't just a Bancroft specific concern or issue. You know, ever since I've, my 7 years in administration here in Minneapolis, this is the way that our classrooms have been funded. And so I think it's not necessarily like just a Bancroft specific way. And again, I've said before that enrollment is, directly related to funding. And they use the funding ratios of the 1:24 for kinder and first, and the 1:26 for 2 and 3, and the 1:28 for 4 and 5. And so if those ratios, and again, I'm just kind of giving the back context of it, we don't have enough kids to complete that full, 1:28 or the 1:26. And so that's why we're funded the 14.2. And that is a mathematical, I agree, mathematical piece of how they do the FTE funding for classroom teachers. And so I think, looking at the math and looking at the formulas, and I mean, I think that could be a piece. But like I said, it's not just Bancroft specific.
No, absolutely. Thank you for the context, Diego. Yes, and I think we certainly have a sense that it isn't Bancroft specific, but just considering the plate that we're in charge of, we have an opportunity or an obligation. It depends on how you want to look at it, to sort of try to help advocate for our school, and as much as we can, advocate for the district as a whole. I think one of the things I liken this to, has anyone here seen The Matrix? Neo. Right? If we all know this, I'm not spoiling anything for anybody if I say this, right? But we all sort of know that there have been many Neos before Keanu Reeves' Neo, right? That was sort of part of the premise, that they were rolling down this road all the time, like multiple times, and it was just the way it was until this one Neo came along and broke the cycle. Unless, of course, I don't think whatever the current Matrix is. So I'm making it's a tenuous link, but I'm linking us to Keanu Reeves and the Matrix. I'm sure there have been PTOs in the past that have advocated the same way we're advocating now, or advocated for the same thing, but perhaps with this particular group of unique and talented individuals who are committed to the cause, maybe, just maybe, one of us will be Keanu Reeves and will make a little bit of a difference. I want his coat. But anyway, having said that, Amal, you got a question?
Well, I like thinking outside the box, and so that Matrix reference is kind of fun. But I was thinking, well, and wondering if PTO has a place in just sharing information with parents about the budget and like parent advocacy in general.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that question, Molly. And that is actually what this is. Hold 1 second. Did Silas make it back in the building? He did. Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry, I'm at work, and so my son's sort of just wandering around with my card to get in and out of doors. Anyway, what was I saying? So yes, the ultimate goal is we are informing our constituents, our families, of what the situation is and what they could advocate for, and then we're giving them a pathway forward.
But not just specific, just like when it, like in regards to like Minneapolis public schools, and like current events and advocacy. Is that something that we can continue to share?
Yeah, that is absolutely that is. I mean, how narrow or how wide our messaging goes, I think that's something that we'll determine. We kept a fairly narrow. Our first go at this prior to this tie-out reopening was fairly narrow. We could certainly open it up, give it a little bit of a broader swath, and linked to that, there's this other effort regarding special education at the Minnesota legislature, and that's kind of the big effort. And the notion is that if special education is 100% funded, that trickles down in the sense that it allows districts to then take the money, that the flexible spending dollars that Diego sort of referenced, that becomes available to other priorities, such as the 0.8, right? If schools are being properly funded for special ed by the state, then that frees up other existing pots of money for other priorities. And so that's kind of the tie-in. And Molly, I love that you're asking the questions, because I think that means perhaps we should be including you in the email chain as well regarding that. So as you can see, like I said, event planning is a gateway. And that's something that we'll sort of tackle through email chains, the specific messaging. But I did want to get, one of the reasons why this is being brought up here is because site council happened. I wanted to reflect on the record for our particular group of people that pay attention. This is where things are at, and then letting them know this is where PTO is sort of going to start to sidle up. Does that make sense? Any other comments, questions regarding that? And then one last, Diego, no AE positions will be lost. And I'll be honest, I'm not actually sure who all are AEs, but I do understand that there is someone who I thought was an AE, or I think is an AE, who is not returning. Does that mean people who leave are being replaced? And so we're going to end up next year with the same number of AEs this year. Is that a correct statement? Or are we?
Yeah, so that is a correct statement. I don't know who you're referencing, but maybe it's Miss Monica. So there's different. So yes, we have Miss Rufina, Miss Laura, Miss Rebecca, Miss Tammy, Mr. L, and Miss Maria, who's in the office. Those are all my I guess general ed AEs. And then they're in one bucket. And then there's another bucket of high five AEs. So Miss Sue Carlson, Miss Nina, and Miss Monica are in the high five AE bucket. And so Miss Monica did resign, and technically today was her last day, or yesterday was her last day. So that position will be replaced. Right now it's an open position, but we have to have it for high five. And so it's been tied out with just a blank position. So that will be posted in June for our ESP interview and select process in Minneapolis. And then we have our other bucket of ESPs, which are called our SEAs. And those are all the ones that are in our ASD program. Yep. And we have 8 people in that program. And so there's just different buckets of ESPs and AEs and SEAs.
Okay, great, thank you. And so then the numbers stay regardless of the personnel within the positions, but we will have the same.
Correct. So even if, let's say, Miss Rufina this summer decides she's moving back to Mexico and is retiring and she's done, I still have that position to fill then, because somebody was tied out in that position. And so then when she vacates it, then it will be posted. And so I will have 6 AEs next year, 3 high five AEs, and then 8 SEAs.
Thank you very much for the clarification.
Yep.
Does anybody else have any other follow-ups for either myself, who's been talking way too much, or for Diego, who probably wishes he wasn't talking as much, or anybody else on the call?
I just threw a question in the chat.
How many SEAs are there outside the autism classroom?
Yeah, I know there was some discussion about
Miss
whether
Jenny.
we have enough. It's just Miss Jenny.
Yep, there's one. We get funding for one. It's called a SERI. It's an SEA, and then it works with resource students. So we have one. I did just hire a supplemental SEA, and they start on Thursday. So they will be supporting students in our setting 1, setting 2 special ed.
Okay, so in addition to Miss Jenny?
In addition to Miss Jenny.
Okay.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
And will that continue then, having both of them next year?
Yes and no.
Okay.
They will most likely continue, but maybe moved into the ASD program. But right now, for the remainder of this year, I'll have them supporting setting 1 and setting 2.
Cool.
Yep.
Great, thank you. We are a little over time for this, but this was a great discussion. Thank you very much. And I'm going to move on to the principal's update. It's just me. We're sort of saying how you felt like you were talking too much, but now you're going to talk again. But yeah, the floor is yours, sir. If you would like to give commentary on anything else that you haven't already touched upon.
No, I really don't have a ton of updates. I did share at Site Council how we're utilizing our additional 42 minutes. And I think that we've been tried to be pretty creative in how we've done that. We've provided an additional specialist once a week for every grade level in every classroom. And that also then allows our grade level teachers to have an additional 42 minutes of planning and preparation time and collaboration time. We've given every grade level, every class has one additional recess per week too, another 30-minute block of recess. We also then have on Wednesdays, we instituted cross-age buddies. So that's where an older grade partners up with a younger grade, and they do activities and reading buddies and a whole bunch of other activities. We've had, I think this is our week 4 already now of the extended time. And so we'll have week 4 of cross-age buddies on Wednesday, and that's just been a huge hit. I showed some photos at site council with the kids together and reading together and playing together. So that's been fun. And the other 2 days of the week are just extensions of their units of inquiry. They do, I know second grade's been working on their writing projects. First grade has been really working on extending their unit of inquiry and making knowledgeable choices and other pieces. And so it's just been a good opportunity to extend some of those pieces. And so that's what we've been working on that, and that's what I shared there. We are trying to get out on more field trips. Our kindergartners went again today to the Arboretum. So they've been the ones getting out of school the most. They went to the Gibbs Farm, I think it was Gibbs Farm, last week, and then this week they're at the Arboretum. So we're trying to take advantage too of those lodge funds, and Gale Woods Farm. Yeah, thank you. Getting them out and about. We finished our MCA testing for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. So that was a big undertaking. So the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders are tested in reading and math, and then our 5th graders are also tested in science. And those were completed last Friday. Let's see, we talked about budget. We have kindergarten registration coming up. So if you have a kindergartner or high fiver, you should be getting a letter in the mail this week inviting you to, or our new families to register or complete registration, which is going to be on Wednesday, May 25th. Our kindergarten team will be here, and some high five teachers will be here just to welcome the kids, show them the classrooms, and finish their registration for the coming school year. And then, like I said, we're really trying to get everything on our calendar. And we have some big things like promotion for 5th graders. Sue just launched exhibition today with our 5th graders, which is our big culminating activity for 5th graders. Once they move on from elementary school, the PYP, they'll move on to the MYP, the middle years program. Getting promotion. We have marketplace coming up for our 2nd graders, where they make goods and services, and then they sell them to I think it's the 1st graders that come and buy stuff and get services from the 2nd graders. We just have a lot of 4th graders have BizTown that's coming up. So just a lot of fun activities that are usually here at the end of the school year. And again, trying to provide that closure for people, but also making sure that, you know, we're learning and making the most of it until the 24th of June. But that's really, yeah, not too many big changes. I will say that I will probably be sending out a newsletter this Thursday, and Nurse Mary asked me to maybe recommend mask wearing. It's not required, but just to put it out there that, you know, we're starting to see a few cases pop up here and there. And so just to be also cognizant of making sure that, you know, if you are having symptoms, that you're getting tested. We have tests here at school if you need them. But we're still, you know, unfortunately living with COVID, and still seeing some cases pop up here in our building and just in, you know, around. And so just be cognizant of that piece. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, I would, you know, then now's a good time. Miss Sue's here too, and she can maybe mention exhibition. We don't have very many. I think there's maybe one 5th grade family here, but I know I got a couple that are getting close. So Sue, I don't know if you want to say anything about exhibition.
Of course, I would love to. So exhibition is that final culminating capstone project our 5th graders participate in. And it's actually them leading their own unit of inquiry. So they select a topic of great passion, something they're really excited about learning more about. They study it, they research from many perspectives that topic. They develop an action around that topic and implement it. And then they share with the community, which we call the exhibition, what they've learned. And what they've learned about themselves as a learner, but also what they've learned about their topic and what we can do to help make a difference. So because IB learners are people of action, what can we do to make a difference? It's something that they feel strongly about making a difference with. And our fifth graders are so very socially aware, socially justly minded. I don't even know if that's a way to say it, but we launched today and talked about all the things that were on their mind. We talk about this week right now. It's called What's on the Mind of Fifth Graders. And you'd be amazed at the things they think about. And so they're just kind of developing their thoughts, what they really want to think about more. And if they're an expert already in the topic, to either become a greater expert by exploring more perspectives on the topic, or choosing something they wish they could know more about, but haven't had the time to learn. And from there, they will have a mentor. Somebody in the building will be helping them with their project, just keeping it on track. We'll work on it every day. We're going to let the kids decide how they want to display their learning when it comes time for exhibition. And one of the things that we do require as part of the research is having an interview with somebody who's an expert or who works in the field or knows about the field in some capacity of what they're studying. So we might be reaching out to you. I'll reach out to V. Paul as that time grows close, asking for help with, do you know anyone who knows anything about? Because they'll develop some interview questions, and they will conduct those interviews either in person or virtually now. Like years ago, we only once in a while did a virtual meeting. Now we could do it all the time. They could do a phone or an email conference. And often those people will be the most helpful in helping our kids say, what can I do to make a difference? And that person often gives them really good feedback for, here are some things that we can do. Today, we talked about we are superheroes. What are your superhero qualities that are going to help you become this exhibition? Because all those little steps lead up to this bigger collective worldwide focus on topics that other kids all around the world are also interested in. So we use something called the UN, the United Nations Sustainable Goals. And there are 17 of them, and any topic a student picks literally will fit under one of those goals. And kids and people all over the world are working on these goals to make little steps in progress towards helping all these topics. So things like hunger, poverty, animals, life under the water, life on land, the climate, anything you name, it's there. And they were super excited. It was so fun to hear their thinking. We'll go back tomorrow, talk more about topics. And so this week will be topics, and then they'll start researching and starting to interview right away, starting next week. So this is where all of you will really be helpful for us.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Reach out. We'll
I will.
amplify. We'll amplify
Yeah.
the messaging as best we can.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions regarding what Ms. Sue just shared or what Diego shared?
Yes.
I think we are good. So we're going to move to the next. Thank you very much, Ms. Sue and Diego, for that. That's going to be cool. I agree, Michelle. Okay, so next topic on the agenda, restorative practices at Bancroft. I'm just going to let you read what I wrote because I can't imagine paraphrasing any differently. It's not like I know any more or any less, but there was a meeting that Dana, who is on the call now and is a parent of a second grader. Sorry if I'm doing the intro on your behalf there, Dana. And there's this notion of, she knows some professionals that are working in restorative practices. And we met with Diego to talk about if there is utility and value here at Bancroft. And Diego pretty much explained how there, and I may be putting words in your mouth, Diego, but this happens already to a varying degrees. And certainly maybe there could be effort to augment, to emphasize, to help out, to train. What I'm interested in introducing this topic to PTO for is the idea of a family-focused workshop, an idea of offering the programming to our families so that they can either, at the very least, learn about it as an option or become practitioners of it in a way that they could then, when they're in the classrooms, that they are talking the same talk and walking the same walk, and sort of helping out in any way, being helpful to teachers in the school and around the school, as well as just, however it applies to their own personal lives. So that's what this topic is regarding. Diego, and Dana, I'm going to leave the floor to either one of you. Maybe Dana, I'm going to, if I may, open with you, if you wouldn't mind, since you are sort of spearheading this or initiating the idea. But Diego, I know you have context to give, so I certainly want to give you room to share context. But Dana, go ahead. You have the floor.
Hey, thanks so much. We're all in South Minneapolis, right? So I apologize for the airplanes. I don't know if you can hear them, but they're flying right over my head because of the wind. So Nuhu Sims is the Chief Diversity Officer of Brooklyn Center, and his partner is Hannah Storms, and she's the Vice Principal of, I just had it in my head and then I lost it. Brooklyn Center Community Schools as an elementary assistant principal. And so for those of you on the PTO Facebook group, I posted a flyer to a summer literacy program that Hannah's running, that if my kid did not just turn 9, I would totally be enrolling him in that. So if you have a kiddo that's between the ages of 4 and 7, I can't recommend Hannah's program enough. But I reached out to them because there is, there's just, the kiddo's been having a hard time this year, and we all know that, right? And that's despite the Herculean efforts on behalf of the Bancroft staff and teachers. And so, I've been thinking a lot about, I work in education, and I'm a teacher trainer. And so I was thinking a lot about like, how can we, instead of like trying to like get a student in line or get a person in line, but think about how can we create, like, how can we help support Bancroft in something they're already doing, but help them do it more holistically, given all the changes that have happened over the last few years. And so I reached out to VPAL and to Diego to just talk about, could we bring in Nuhu and Hannah and work with them on, like VPAL is saying, right, some parent training, but then also just helping to create some of these practices in the way the school looks today, right? Because we've gone through a lot of changes in the last couple of years. Right. And so this might be a nice time to revisit this topic and do some additional training, especially for Bancroft, given its location, right, both historically and also in our community. So I reached out to Nuhu and Hannah, and they were really excited about the opportunity to work with Bancroft. They live right in this neighborhood, so I'm sure their baby will be going to school at Bancroft someday. And so it's just a really great opportunity to further engage the community, but also, to support, like help us as families learn more about what does this mean, so that we could, continue to volunteer and show up at our kiddos' school with some of these strategies ourselves. So it just seems like a really great opportunity. I got to be honest, I can't believe like how easy this conversation was, and how I shouldn't be surprised, right? Because Bancroft is amazing and Diego is amazing. And so when I brought this up, he was like, yeah, I know about that. Let me tell you. And I talked to Mr. L about it, and he was like, oh yeah, this is what this has looked like in the past. And so this isn't new to Bancroft at all, right? But it's like, okay, how do we bring this back after all the disruption and all the rupture of the last 2.5 years? So this seems like we've got a really cool opportunity here. So yeah, so I just wanted to share that with folks. Diego, I don't know if you have other pieces that you want to add. If I'm missing anything or misrepresenting, please let me know. And I'm so sorry that I was late. We are doing some restorative practices here in the house with Benjamin. Pray for us.
No, thank you, Dana. I think you said most of the pieces that we did talk about. And I think for me, it's really about how are we in community together as adults, as staff, as teachers, as kids, from high 5 through 5th grade. And so, I think part of the idea behind restorative practices is how do we honor the community that we are in together? How do we talk about how not necessarily a rule has been broken, but what harm has been caused, to the relationships, to your classmates, to those pieces, and then how do we repair those? And so I think that's kind of the mindset that I've tried to bring, and then try to really instill that in staff as well. And so that's one of the first things that when we met with Nuhu and Hannah was like, I think being restorative is really about mindset too. Like, it's not necessarily about, okay, well, you were not listening, so you're out of my classroom. I'm not saying that's what teachers do. I'm just saying that's like one example, but like what, how are we going to build that back, and what skills do we need to reteach? And so to me, that's kind of the piece. It's not necessarily about just consequences for broken rules. It's about, the impact that it's having on the community that we're in together. I know that Dana talked with Mr. Al Chalanga. Mr. Al, he's one of our support staff people, and we've done, not necessarily healing circles, but we've done restorative circles, and we've come in when there's been a big issue that's happened in a classroom. Him and I will sit, or he'll sit with the class and talk about the feelings that people had, or how did that impact you, or what have you thought about since. And there's a real good restorative questions script that we can just go through, and it really help support build that type of mindset in the classrooms. And so, when Dana came to me, I said, yep, I would totally dial into this, because it's some of the pieces that we've already been trying to do at Bancroft. And any person who's professional at it, I would love to continue to learn from as well. And so I know we have some folks here in our district that I've worked with, and so Julie Young Burns, who's in the SEL department, and Nakia Hines, who's our person, they've supported with that work as well here at our school. And so to me, it's, it fits, I think, with the IB perspective and mindset also. And so it's, to me, the logical direction to go.
And one other piece that I really like that I think you touched on this in our meeting, Diego, is you mentioned like looking below the behavior and helping the kiddos understand what's happening, right? It's like, hold on a minute, like what the disruption was just like that was like number 5. What were the first 4 things that happened before that? And really helping our kids develop that awareness of like, oh, that thing is happening again, where I think I literally just had this conversation with Benji. Oh, you think someone got mad at you, so then what did you do? He's like, well, I fought them, of course, right? And so then we played that out, and then we went back and we're like, okay, well, what happened before, right? What happened before that? What happened before that? And then we're able to identify points that like there were different choices available, right? And so just creating some of that support with the adults in the space, so they can help the kids recognize, yeah, we have been stressed out. There's a reason we're a little more reactive, right? Instead of like, oh, I'm acting like this because I'm a bad kid. And I just love that is never the message that my very, boisterous child, he does not get that message, right? And I think at a different school he could, and so I'm really grateful for that. And so I would love to know how to better support that holistically. So thank you all for really leading the way in this.
Yeah, and I just want to add to, it's really also about helping all of the kids learn skills. And so I think a lot of times, maybe if you were considered an offender or the bully or something, then you're suspended, you're kicked out, you're this, but there's also there's teaching opportunity in that. And so that's one of the things that we've really been working on, is how do we support both sides, right? How do we support the student and make them feel comfortable if they were the victim, and make sure that they're getting what they need, but then also so it doesn't continue, and we're supporting the other student who was lashing out or was doing things that shouldn't have been done. But then how are we supporting them to make those appropriate choices? And so I think for me, it really, again, supports the entire community, so that kids are building the skills that they all need.
Great. Thank you for that exchange and the information and the context, Dana and Diego. I do want to just ask the floor if they've got any follow-up or questions. I do have an intended question and a vote I'd like on this particular matter, but I do want to keep the floor open for discussion if there is discussion to be had. And so the vote that I'm going to ask for is that PTO hosts a workshop geared toward families, and see if we can get this done before the end of the school year, sort of something that can be introduced as a concept to families, and then they could sort of mull it over summer. And I understand, or at least from that initial meeting with that Diego and Dana and Nuhu and Hannah were in, that would there be any professional development for staff that occurs over summer? And so the idea is, if we introduce concept to our families here now, return in the fall and see where we're at, and see what does that mean for the new year in terms of behaviors and practices. So without any further ado, I'm going to put that to a vote. It's 1 for yes in the chat box, 2 for no. The question is PTO to host a restorative practices workshop geared toward families. Believe we hit our majority on that one. I don't vote. Diego, you can vote. Sue, you can vote. But I believe we hit it. All right. All right. Thank you. So, Dana, now that you're in the meeting, I am going to lean on you. I'll work with you to work out the logistics for this, since you're also the contact person. And we'll figure that out. I think it would be interesting if this becomes this, and our June PTO meeting becomes an in-person type thing. But of course, let's see where COVID is headed. Okay, I'm going to move on to this topic. So by our bylaws, we are technically supposed to select new leadership for next year. And we reserve president and treasurer here in the spring so that those positions can work over the summer and prep, but then secretary, communications chair, the other leadership positions, they will come in the fall so that there's an opportunity for new families who are entering for them to participate if they so wish. So what we're looking for here though today is president, treasurer, readathon chair, because that's a very immediate need. It's pretty much hit the ground running right in September. And plant sale chair, Kimberly Sinclair, has resigned from the position, did a great job, and she is looking to pass it on to the next person. I know there is already somebody interested. And so the process as our bylaws go, I don't refer to our bylaws very much. And for those of you who might be first time on this meeting, it's not like I'm waving the bylaw book a lot, but this one I wanted to stick pretty close to because it's the thing that we gave to the tax people, right? We nominate a candidate, and then it's a simple majority to ratify it. If there are multiple candidates, the goal is to get a majority. I kind of wish the bylaws mentioned plurality in this regard, but it doesn't. So that's something for maybe next year's PTO to sort of consider. But having said that, if people just want to throw their name in the hat for any of these positions, they are welcome to do so. And then they would, because we've got this extra June meeting, they certainly would be active at the June meeting. But this current PTO, I think there's obviously room for overlap. We don't, but we do want to also give incoming the time they need, the June, July, August, to prep. So having said that, I'm going to go with one of the easier ones to sort of open the floor to, and that's the spring plant sale chair, because I do understand that there is somebody interested. And I see in chat, this might be a contested one. I am going to nominate.
Yeah, let's contest the plant sale chair. I probably don't need to challenge this other person.
No. This will be great. This is exciting. I love elections. It's very exciting. I do nominate to the floor Mandy at spring plant sale chair, and so there's that. Now, is there Shauna? You've thrown your hat in the ring. Would anyone like to nominate Shauna?
I'll nominate Shauna. This is gonna be a tough vote.
Yeah, I'll second that one.
All right. So there now, spring plant sale is obviously is in spring, but this year we did do a first try at a fall digital only plant sale. So there is an instruction set, a great book of how-tos that Kimberly is leaving behind. So incoming position will have some great information, and there's also an opportunity to, as with any time someone new comes in the field, to also think about things in a different way. So that's what I love about the fact that PTO is such a high turnover rate, is that every year it's an opportunity for newness. Does Mandy or Shauna, would you like to say a couple words before we go to a vote?
Oh, I'll say a few words. Shauna can totally have it.
Well, Mandy, I was gonna ask, like, what is it that you feel like you bring? Because I'm like a really process-oriented person, and so I was like, if somebody's like, yeah, I'm the like rah sis boom ba, like let's get people super excited, like we could be super compatible as co-chairs.
I'm probably more on the process side too, honestly. And truthfully, I assumed no one else would want this. So I was like, well, if no one wants it, I'll do it. Because I was here in 2019 for the last really big plant sale. So I was like, well, I have some of that context and stuff. But like, I'm happy to give any input. But like, my gosh, Shauna, if you want this, you go.
I feel strangely attracted to the plant sale, even though we didn't actually buy any plants because I wanted to see how it went.
Like Kimberly left beautiful information. Like
Yep.
it's so well defined. Like I think you can certainly step into this and be great. So I'm gonna shut my mouth.
So does that mean, Mandy, that you are withdrawing your nomination, or that I should withdraw your nomination?
Yeah. It sounds like Shauna wants this, and I'm excited about that. I love it.
Okay. All right. No, that's fine. So 1 for yes, 2 for no. In the chat, please. We're going to elevate Shauna to spring plant sale chair.
Are we going to try and do a fall one as well? Because I've just discovered a bunch of things I want to plant should have been planted in fall.
Well, again, Shauna, that's a question for future PTO and future chair. So
Okay.
this is totally the future is yours. There we go, bulb sale. All right,
Yeah,
so that carries. Shauna, welcome to the party as spring plant sale chair. Thank you very much.
You are most welcome. Looking forward to it.
Now, the next position is readathon chair, which spring plant sale and the readathon are our two biggest fundraisers. Which is why they are a chair position that we try to get at early so that there's enough prep. And readathon chair hits the ground running. And Nicole, who has been readathon chair for at least 2 or 3 years, 3 years, I think, has also left copious notes and step-by-step guides on the distribution of the envelopes, the tallying of the envelopes, the prize sourcing of prizes. And so who would like to be considered for readathon? Oh, there we go, Mandy. Yep. Garlic and Columbine are apparently both fall plantings too. Oh, we got a bunch of different things in the chat. Okay, so Mandy, yep, I'm going to nominate Mandy for
Thanks.
readathon.
Readathon is my true love. This is my true love. And I was like, well, I could do plant sale and readathon if nobody wants it because they're in different seasons. But this is what I was really interested in. So, yeah. Am I supposed to like talk about myself? Because I'm not good at that.
Well, no, you certainly are welcome to. And again, there's no hard and fast rule, and the bylaws certainly don't say that this is an actual campaign
Like
process.
readathon is an organizational masterpiece, and that is where I shine.
Yep. No, absolutely. So yes, I've nominated Mandy. Are there anyone else before we go to a vote? Seeing no one, I'm going to ask for a vote. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Mandy as our incoming readathon chair, please. Yep, I believe motion carries. Yay, welcome Mandy to the party. Incoming readathon chair. Thank you very much. Okay, and then we've got the president and treasurer positions. And so who would like to throw their name in the ring for treasurer, and who would like to nominate that person? Don't all go for once. It's hard to track all that activity on Zoom. Justin, would you like to say some words about the treasurer position that would so incline folks to want it?
Sure. I mean, if you like chatting with people about projects they want to work on and helping make those become a reality, then treasurer is a good position for that. The day-to-day of it's pretty simple. Just ask for receipts. Make sure that things are being recorded and tracked, and the bank does most of the work for you. So you just at the end of, well, before every meeting, I just take the information from the bank, put it into a spreadsheet, tally the numbers, and give a short report on it. That's about it, really.
Do your bylaws allow president-elect? Do your bylaws allow for president-elect and past president? Could you clarify that question, Shauna?
Yeah, so it my graduate student council works this way too, where it's like pretty much whoever shows up at the right meeting steps forward, and voila, you can be president. But I kind of feel like it's a really, really significant undertaking that can benefit from both the like sort of pre-experience of like watching someone, knowing you're stepping into those shoes next year, and then also, VPaul, you have, if you aren't throwing your hat back in the ring, or if you're term limited or however this works, like there's a lot to be offered as a past president. And so I was just wondering, it also feels like risky to be at did I freeze?
No, you're good.
Okay. This feels risky to me. Like I always, I'm like, oh God, we don't know who the president's going to be yet. And like the elect, having, a year ahead of time or whatever can sort of lead for that, but not all bylaws are structured in such a way. So that was a curious question. Obviously I volunteered to be plant sale chair, not president, but I'm the sort who will probably become president one day.
Ambition is certainly a good thing to have. This is good to know. It's being recorded.
Yeah, it's a natural position for me to end up in. So I was sort of wondering if there was any room for like succession.
First of all, there are no term limits. People certainly can rerun. I mean, Justin, the floor is open to you to rerun or to stay. You've done a great job, and I so appreciate you keeping. I certainly feel like you are the one that kept me grounded, and that's been great this year. So people, there are no term limits. People can rerun. I think we are a very casual group, so looking to past years for guidance is certainly there. Regarding the president, I am cognizant of I have a manner that is maybe somewhat aggressive, that maybe intimidates those with quieter voices, and so I do want to leave room for people. Now I certainly could run again, but if someone wanted the position, I'm not going to run against them. I just want to I would like to make room for them. So that's my.
Could we float the idea of having co-presidents like in the past? Like if someone's interested in like learning the ropes.
Yeah, I think we certainly could
at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly could. Functionally, we need a treasurer because of the checks. So that's a functional thing. And then in terms of I mean, we did have Nicole and Alicia were co-presidents their year. So that is possible, and I think we could move that. That would be a September consideration. So rather than a vice president role, for example, Robin is current vice president, and so if next year, if Robin, if you want to continue, you're welcome to, and if you didn't, someone else will come in, and at that point, does it get redefined as a co-president role? And really, it's all about. Absolutely, we are a flexible group. Who's doing the work? How much of it is shared, and such. But we're all, frankly, we're. I don't know if anyone knows this. I'm Canadian, actually, and we have a prime minister. And
I knew you were Canadian, Paul. Come on, you said Tuke.
That's okay. So anyway,
but I'm from Winnipeg. Where are you from? Quick.
Toronto. I'm from Toronto. Oh, you're a Canuck also. Great. That's great.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, good.
So the point where I was going with it, I'm not making another Matrix reference, but I'm making we have ministers, and then there happens to be which are all equal, and then there just happens to be a prime minister, which is first among equals. So I feel like that's our structure. We are all equal. There just happens to be one person that's first among equals, and we all do the work. We all share the load. We all are equally consultative and equally talented. Some of you more talented than I, certainly, because you bring a lot. So Having said that, we still need to fill a treasurer position, and and Justin, I didn't hear you say yes when they asked if you wanted to come back. And
Yeah, I think I'm gonna step down.
totally fine, totally fine. Like I said, thank you very much for the time and the effort and the work. It was great. But we still need to fill that position. And then does anyone want to throw their name in for the president's position? Oh, Mandy, Jason doesn't want to run again? Can you by proxy nominate him anyway?
Oh my God, he would kill me. Yeah, his job really took off, so he's.
Yeah, but technically you're a readathon chair, so I think that we can offer you some Secret Service.
All right, I'm gonna put you on Secret Service detail. So.
All right.
Okay, but no, sorry.
That's all fine. All good. All good. All right. I don't think any holding quiet any longer is going to be as an effective tool, unlike when I look at my son and ask him and then stay quiet. You didn't hear me. Anyway.
I heard you, Dad.
Okay, he just said he heard me. Okay. Let's, before we totally get lost here, because we're getting close to time, does anyone want to throw their, we're at time, does anyone want to throw the name in for president?
Only way I'm going to do it is if I get to run against you, Paul. It's the only way I'm going to do it.
No. No, I don't think it's. Like I said, I really do want to. I want to give. If you want it, it's take it. I mean, it's a great position. There's a lot of opportunity. Justin has said to me at the top of this term, PTO is what you make of it, and that's the thing I love about these organizations. It's the people in the position make it, and that's kind of what's great about it. Are there any nominations then?
I wanted to nominate you, Paul, and share your big news with the floor if I can.
And Dana's nominated. Go, yeah, sure, Melissa, go ahead.
Last week, Paul was awarded the highest honor at the University of Minnesota for staff, the President's Award for Outstanding Service.
Ooh.
And I told my colleagues that if he was half as dedicated to his job as he is to PTO, then he is highly qualified for that award.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Congrats.
Yeah, thank
Amazing.
you. It was a surprise out of the blue, and
Do they
yeah.
send you to Disney World or anything like that for winning?
No, I get a little bonus in one of my next paychecks, and I get a little crystal something or other with my name on it.
It is really heavy. It weighs like 12 pounds.
I think Melissa is a recipient of this. What year was that, Melissa? 2007?
2007, I was awarded that.
Awesome.
So that's it's awkward, but thank you very much, and I appreciate it. Are there any other nominations on the floor? Otherwise, we'll call a vote. Obviously, I cannot vote. All right, I'm going to call the vote for president then. 1 for yes, 2 for no, to ratify the nomination. We still need a treasurer. One first, Doug. All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I look to this group. I look to this group just like Justin has, and how Robin does also. To keep me on the right course and to help me make room for other voices. Michelle, you do that a lot for me also. You help me remember other voices that maybe I don't consider. So I do know that's where my weak point is. I tend to be loud and strident, and Laura says stop. So
I see in the chat a note from Shauna about the treasurer role and in the mindset of future presidency.
I was gonna say, like, I am very good at fiscal responsibility and check management, as well as helping people to make good choices about how to spend money. I did discover that being the treasurer of, it's in full disclosure, being the treasurer of staff council at the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus was beyond my ability, because trying to understand how money moves in a university makes you nutballs. And so I handed that title back on over to somebody who was dealing with finances all day. But if somebody came along and was like, money is my thing, but like, I know how important it is to have a treasurer in any of these contexts. So you know, if you got to put a treasurer on the books, I will take the responsibility for signing
Absolutely.
checks.
I don't think our finances are going to be as complicated as a university. I will, unless anyone else wants to do it, I certainly would nominate Shauna. I will say, though, I do have a caveat in the sense of you are spring plant sale chair, and
Which is
I
a bit of
don't
a
want to
conflict of
overload.
interest,
So
yeah.
if we, when next year rolls around, we may solicit a co-chair on plant sale.
Yeah, to
So that-
avoid COI. Yeah.
Yeah,
you definitely
and
wanna
also
avoid-
on top of that, I think that it's a nice to have a checks and balances when you got two people in a financial role. And
Yeah.
not to say, I mean, I really, truly, it's just transparency issue is all. is the
No,
only-
absolutely. I completely and I agree 110%.
All right, great, thank you. So having said that, I will nominate Shauna Cox to the treasurer position. Does anybody else have a nomination on the floor? The floor is still open.
Seconded.
All right, well, let's hold a vote before we lose our quorum here. Shauna Cox for treasurer, 1 for yes, 2 for no. All right, that carries. Thank you very much. I think we have future council. Thank you very much, everyone on here. Doug and Peter, and I know Tom's gone now, but you have been coming in and out of our meetings, and I hope that you still keep coming, and that maybe one of you takes on a role, because your contributions to our group have been great this year, and I'd like to see continued presence, if I may ask, if that's not too inappropriate for me to ask. So I just wanted to say that. Next meeting, June 13. Yes, thank you, Robin, for pointing that out. And so last thing is, we've got that one more PTO meeting, Monday, June 3. Diego, I'm going to sort of throw on the floor. We'd like to make that in person if possible. We can work that over email if that's going to be a possibility. In part for the childcare and meal parts, so that we can get a little more participation. And then I'm just putting a bug in your ear, Diego. Welcome packages for new Bancroft families and outreach to the community over the summer. This is in part with connected to your May 25 kinder registration. Last year, PTO sort of played a little bit of a role. I didn't want to lose that this year, so I just sort of wanted to mention that to you.
All right, so we are going to try and put together a t-shirt type thing, or is that, did you say no? All right, you're muted, but I'm just saying that you did.
Yeah, no, I'm saying whatever, if there was a welcome package, I just didn't want that to get lost. And we did that last year, and I think we just should connect about that this year.
Okay.
All right.
And I know we're way over time, but I would also like to connect with whoever on PTO to see if we can do spirit wear somehow year round, or have multiple checking in points on doing that, because I know that was the thing. So anyways, it's the conversation for another time, but I just wanted to put that.
That'll be a June conversation. It is slated. Yep, it will. Yep. Thank you. Okay, I think
Spiritwear. Oh, sorry. I volunteer to help with Spiritwear, because that kind of ties in with what I know how to do.
All right, absolutely. Totally works for me.
And then I know Peter's here, but we are tentatively scheduling another parent staff equity meeting for June 2nd.
All right.
We just had to get our feet under us again. And I think I mentioned at Site Council and wrote in a note to families that Ms. Nichols is on leave for the remainder of the year. And so our equity team met, after the strike and spring break and everything. So we've set June 2nd as another date for that.
No, that's great. I'm glad that that staff has the capacity to revive that, and we'll see
Yep.
what we'll do with it. Yep, absolutely. Okay, thank you. Any other new business or any other comments before we close out?
Just a question. Do we need anything like postcards or anything like that for welcome packets?
I think that's something that we're going to consider. Yeah, we did have some, we reused a postcard, I believe, last year. And so let's do that offline. I'll open an email chain.
Great.
And so that we don't miss the train on that one.
Sounds good. I'm up for it. Just need like 2 days notice.
Yep. Sounds good.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Welcome, new leadership. Thank you for everything. Justin, I don't know if you're gone, but thank you. I'm going to put that on the recording. Thank you for anyone who's watching afterwards. Thank you to Justin. Thank you to Kimberly. Thank you to Nicole for their service over those positions. Okay. I'm going to end this meeting. Stay safe, stay dry, stay cool, stay warm. I have no idea what the weather's doing. We'll see you later.
Night, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.